G'day, I thought I'd do a quick review of my P226 X5 Tactical Series 1, or as the Series 1s were called, P226 X5S, as you can see there on the slide, S. I'll just do a quick safety check. Empty, magazine empty, gun is empty. Okay, I've owned this gun before, not this exact model, not this exact gun, but this exact model, and I sold it about a month or three after I sold the first one. I regretted it, and I spent the next 2.5 years looking to get a replacement. I finally found one on the used gun market. They're only used at this stage, very hard. I don't know if you'd find a new one ever again. And I spent a lot of money to get it, and as soon as I bought this one or made the deal with the guy, 2 more came up for sale, so that's Murphy's Law. This one feels exactly the same as my old one. The condition is almost identical. I've checked the serial numbers. This one is actually a later production model than my original was, and this one is not as accurate so far as my original was. I haven't done load development with this one yet. The original one I did do custom load development, and I got the groups down to about, I think it was 1.5 inches, 2 inches at 25 meters, whereas this one so far I'm in about the 3-inch mark, but I'm yet to do purpose development for this one. Now I'll go through the features. So the differences between this and a standard 226, there's obviously no decocker. It is single action only. It has fixed night sights. They are the Sig night sights. It has a rail on it, but it's not a normal rail for some stupid reason. Sig wanted to put their own proprietary rail on, when if you look at the forums, it really wasn't intended for accessories. It was more intended for apparently their compensator or weights to go onto it. It's got an alloy frame. Sig calls it a lightweight alloy. It's just aluminium. It is about, I'd say, 2/3 the weight of the stainless steel model. And I've compared them. I haven't weighed them, but in the hand it's about 2/3 the weight. The slide to frame fit is excellent. Like, that's me shaking it. You can't hear anything. It is excellent. The barrel is tied in there. The barrel must, if it's not hand fitted, it must be close to it. It must be, or final stage fitted. There's nothing wrong with the slide to frame fit. In fact, the gun itself is excellently crafted. The machining inside of it's excellent. There's no tool marks anywhere on the gun. It's a 35mm grip, which is 1 3/300 for people on the old system. I have smallish hands, and it still feels good to my hands. I can easily grip the gun. This is where you need to be careful with this gun. It has the internal extractor, which is different from the standard 226. There it is there, that extractor. Now with this extractor, if you're buying one of these guns, go and buy some of these spares. To avoid breaking this extractor, it's simple, but you've got to be very careful. Don't ever put a bullet into the chamber and drop the slide, because it forces this extractor. I don't know if we'll get it on camera. There it is there. That extractor's got no room to ride up. It's not like a 1911 that has a little bit of play in it. It is literally put hard against the frame, and there's no room for it to ride up. So when that bullet goes full, or when that round goes forward into the gun, it'll snap a tiny little chip off the bottom of that. That'll give you only about half of your extractor tooth left, and eventually it'll break. And trust me, I know people who broke them and they couldn't get parts. They turned their old guns into paperweights. Oop. There it is there. That's how you load it. If you need to top up a magazine, go change out your magazine and put a fresh one in. Don't drop it on a live round, because you will regret it. Okay, the trigger is not great, but it's not meant to be a match grade gun. It's meant to be a tactical focus gun. So you got plenty of creep. You come up to the wall, pull, and you're at about 5 pounds. It's got a short reset. But there, I put it on my trigger weight tester, and it comes in about 5 to 5.5 pounds most times. The recoil is slightly snappier than the stainless steel model. The reason is behind that, of course, alloy frame. But then it's very manageable with a good grip on it. You're not feeling like it's not aggressive. It's just you do find yourself putting your sights back and it is able to do it, but you'll be working or learning the technique to do it. Now, with the Sig proprietary rail, before I go too much further, you can get some items that have got wider cuts on the front that you'll be able to get the part on. I won't be able to do it on camera, of course. But you'll be able to get the part on, but it won't be perfect. You'll have a little gap there. But anyway, you don't have to worry too much about that. If it's your carry gun, you'll be putting a light on there. You'll probably work out you can mill out whatever your light is to make it fit. Now, even though Sig does a lot of media coverage to say that the Beaver Tail on this one is not as cut, the Beaver Tail on the second edition is meant to be more cut than the original, and that this is meant to have higher grip angles and all the rest of it. The real difference is they've scalloped out these here, whereas on the original they aren't scalloped out, and they've undercut this trigger guard slightly more on the second edition. You can see it there versus what they've done there, if I can compare them. No, you can't quite see it. But yeah, this one here is ever so slightly more ground, just so you got a slightly higher... Oh, there you can see it there better. There's that extra cut there to get the higher grip angle. But other than that, all the parts are interchangeable. Your magazine release interchangeable, grip screws, safeties, hammers, takedown lever. The slides themselves, this is slightly interesting if you've got one of these and you want to try it out. So the slides themselves, you cannot put this slide onto the Series 2 guns. The reason is Series 2 has 45 cut fronts, whereas this one is a front radius cut. So if you put that slide on there, you can see it gets so far and it impacts on that front area there. In saying that, you can put a Series 2 onto the Series 1 frame, and that runs no trouble at all. If you wanted to play around with that, someone might be interested in that. But yeah, you could make it fit. You could go and get your gunsmith to cut it out, and he could either cut these rails slightly, or he could cut the Series 2 frame. If you had the money and the time to do it, you could get away with that. Now, I've been using this for a match called Action Pistol Match. In Australia, you usually have to own a gun and justify the ownership of a gun against a competition that you do, or a caliber-specific competition. So I use it as an action pistol match gun. That's a 15, 10 and 7 meter drawing from the holster quick match. This gun works really well for it. I can use my Series 2, and so that's one of the other reasons I wanted to buy another one. This is the backup gun if my Series 2 is playing up. Now, one other thing just to touch on before we go too much further is magazines. There's some stuff you need to know about magazines. Okay, so this is the original 226 10-shot made in Germany magazine. These are great. These are really good. They're very similar to a Metgar magazine. Different base plates, but they are very similar design. This is a Metgar magazine here, if you can see it in the light, that I've put an aftermarket base pad on. If someone's in Australia and needs these base pads for IPSC, send me a message. I can give you the name of the guy who does it. If you're overseas, I don't think you'll be able to export them. This is the P226 X5 Made in America magazine. Avoid these if you can. They are crap. They're really, really tight. Getting 10 rounds in these is near on impossible, and I've tried to loosen them up. I've loaded them, unloaded them a heap of times. They're crap. Stick to the Metgar. Metgar are cheaper. Stick to the Metgar here. Similar design to the original German one. They're cheaper. They're just as well made, but they actually are easier to load. And if you've got, I don't have a loading device, I do it with my thumb. These are a tight magazine to use. If you're only doing 6 shots, you'll be fine. But if you're doing more than that, you will struggle. And also, the base plates are hard to find exchanges for than the Metgars in Australia. What else can I tell you? This gun is probably more of a collectible now. You will find people still shooting them, but if they're still shooting them, they probably don't know what they are. Sig collectors love these because they're the longer barrel version of the classic gun, and they do come across as the quintessential pistol as far as I'm concerned. They look great, they feel great in the hand, handles great, reliability's excellent, and you don't have a lot of people wouldn't know what you have. You're not going to draw too much attention. They're just going to see it's a black 226. But when you start out shooting them, they might start looking at you. But other than that, it's a great gun to get. If you do get a chance to buy one or try one, I can certainly recommend it. And hope that helps some people with what they need to know.